All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Up and In Show. We are here on the purple couch in Cards and Culture with my guy, Bryan Denison, with a Y in the Bryan and the one N in the Dennison, right?
Got to spell it every time I'm asked. Every time, my whole life.
Well, that's a little inside joke because I texted Kylie afterwards and I was like, I don't know, I was traveling yesterday, long day. I texted you and I meant to follow up with you on times and spelled your name wrong. And I was mortified because when I came to your office, I had your name saved as Brian. Then when I came to your office, I saw it as a Y, and I was like, man, I can't believe how many times I probably texted you wrong.
Not the first, not the last.
Yeah, I appreciate your grace with that. That was nice. It was really smooth the way you did it, too. So.
Done it before.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, man. I know you're a busy guy, and you're the owner of one of three owners, right, of Cypress Title?
Yes, sir.
In town in Baton Rouge. So I'm going to let everybody in. I'm going to let you introduce yourself to everybody because if they're watching on YouTube, they might know you a little bit more as
Cajun Cardboard.
That's right.
That's right.
So you just started your YouTube show, right?
I did.
Sports cards.
About 120 days ago. It's all about basketball, the NBA, sports cards. We even dip into basketball video games. Is anything and everything having to do with basketball? That's my place is a good place to go check it out.
Basketball video games?
Like NBA Jam, you know, yeah. Oh yeah, sorry, I wasn't even paying attention. That's how self-aware I am, right?
I like it.
A good actually collector friend of mine owns a company that prints these, and he sent me a courtesy one. I said, well, if you're gonna send it to me for free, I got to at least wear it every chance I get.
100%. I was gonna say, I think that matches our vibe here in Cards and Culture. I was like, we need to get some of those.
Absolutely.
I think Vito, my business partner, he designs things. He did something really similar, but he did it with like. What we do is like we cross pop culture and stuff.
Yeah,
we did a Step Brothers one, so it was like Dale and Brennan on the NBA Jams.
Well, I was telling her when I walked in here, it's like I don't even know where to look first. It's literally like walking into a rainbow. Like every single wall's got a jersey, a beautiful piece of artwork. It's the most colorful place I've ever been. It's like a big rainbow in here of all kinds of goodies.
A lot of stuff going on. Yeah, a lot of stuff going on. But again, appreciate your time. So I want everybody to get to know you a little bit. You know, your background, like we talked about. We might turn this into a regular thing because seems whenever you and I sit down and talk, we go in so many different directions. So we'll put a mic on and start recording it. But tell us a little bit about your background. You're from Baton Rouge originally, right?
Born in Louisville, Kentucky. Okay. So that's where the basketball part comes from.
There we
Born
go.
and bred. Yep. Basketball's in my blood.
Okay.
You know, Kentucky and Louisville basketball, Kentucky Colonels. I'm old. That's me dating myself. For those of you who don't know, there was a ABA team called the Kentucky Colonels with Denison and Artis Gilmore and a few other guys. But moved to Baton Rouge when my dad got transferred in 1983.
Okay.
And so certainly I feel more Baton Rouge than Louisville, you know, at this point. And the only thing I have that's Louisville is the way I pronounce Louisville. So, you know,
you could hear it in the accent.
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm pretty much Baton Rouge through and through. So middle school, high school, you know, postgraduate degree here and lived here. We spent 2 years in Houston, you know, chasing the money, doing a job right out of law school. And then, you know, got homesick and missed Baton Rouge and started having kids and a family, started to grow. And I was like, I need some help. I was like, I gotta go back to Baton Rouge where my mom and dad are and her mom and dad. And so came back here to raise a family and the rest is history.
I love it. So you moved to Baton Rouge and you said middle school?
I moved to Baton Rouge in 1983. Yep, I was born in 74, so I was 9. So I moved here for my fourth grade year of middle school. Yeah.
So you had a good amount in Louisville. Yeah, like you
had enough
memories. Yeah,
I had enough. Yeah, I got enough memories. Like I could, you know, find my way around probably. Yeah. You know, but yeah, I've only been back maybe 2 times since then. Yeah, 2 times.
Have you heard of Kentucky Roadshow? Dude,
Absolutely.
Oh my God, that guy was awesome. I met him at the Mint Collective on Friday night.
Really nice guy.
Yeah.
Great channel to follow on Instagram.
Yes,
seems real down to earth, knows his stuff for sure.
Yes.
That is a card shop that I've got my list of card shops that I want to go check out. You know, obviously I get to see yours all the time, but you know, there's Burbank, you know, there's Bleecker, Kentucky Roadshow is one for sure. Cause I've heard he's got like a piece of Rupp Arena floor in his card shop.
Yes.
And, you know, I know there's actually a bunch of Kentucky basketball card collectors. That's all they collect is Kentucky basketball cards. So,
he's done a great job branding it, and I think and he was telling me some stuff that they got a couple different locations and they're going to expand.
His name's Jimmy, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yep. And so he was just telling me they're going to possibly do an LA one, and they're going to have a piece from the Staples Center.
Oh, that's big time.
So I'm like, dude, he's doing it. That sounds awesome. I mean, like he's doing some really cool stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of history there too. His shop looks awesome. There's a couple kids from Slab Stocks. Have you ever heard of those guys?
Aaron and them. Yep. Yeah. I actually talked to them on Instagram the other day. Yep.
Yeah, I did an interview with them, and I don't know if you saw their thing, but they went into his card show or his shop and they did a whole video and stuff. It was really nice.
Okay. Yeah, I like those guys. Yeah.
So tell us how you got into sports cards. Were you always a collector as a kid? All that?
Yes. So the first memory I have of sports cards is going to be way before you were born, my friend. It was in the 70s. I had an older cousin. He was about 4 years older than me. He would come stay with us on weekends, and he was kind of like my big brother. I'm my only child. So he was the closest thing I had to a big brother. And when he would come to town, my dad would take us to the local flea market.
Okay.
And so when we went to the flea market, my older cousin was all about collecting Cincinnati Reds. That's the closest we had to a Major League Baseball team. So we'd hit the flea market. They'd have their dollar boxes. Well, really, everything was like $1 back then. But it was like 1978, 79. Like, I was a little guy, right? And so, but I was sharp enough to know if my cousin was doing it, it must be cool. I want to do what he's doing. So flipping through dollar boxes, trying to find all the Cincinnati Reds, putting the set together, 1974, 75, 76, 77 Topps baseball stuff. Just pulling them out completely raw, unprotected. Didn't know anything else about the cards other than I wanted the big red machine, right? I wanted the big red machine and collecting those. And that's where I kind of got my first introduction to the hobby. And more importantly, I think that's where I got my love for set collecting.
Nice.
So set collecting is a big part of what I do in the hobby. It's kind of my overriding, kind of motive.
Yeah. I've gotten into that lately too, and that's what I was hunting at, the mint. I told you I'm going vintage baseball, so I wanted to start doing the sets. Do you still have a lot of those sets that you collected?
I don't have any of them.
Oh, no.
I don't have any. I mean, those cards got lost somewhere between, 1979 and now, right? And besides, I don't have any idea what condition they'd be in. I remember some specific cards. Like, I remember I had a 1976 Hank Aaron record breaker card. I remember, the 75 Pete Rose All-Star card. I remember certain cards, and he even dabbled in football back then too. The Bengals were the closest thing, Cincinnati Bengals. So I remember a little bit of that. I wish I'd collected basketball back then, but for some reason I was drawn to football and baseball, which is weird because I've played basketball my whole life. But no, I don't think very many of those cards survived. But when I got, I guess around 1980, after T-ball games and basketball games, and you might not have got to experience this because cards were too expensive when you were a kid, but when I was a kid, it was like, 15 cents or a quarter. And so we'd finish a T-ball game and hit the gas station or, back then they called it convenience stores. You didn't even get gas. There was a convenience store. And my dad would give me a pack of 80 Topps basketball.
Oh, my God. 80 Topps.
Yes, exactly, right?
Oh, my God.
What's a box of 80 Topps right now? So
I always think about those.
Dude.
First of all, wait, how old are you?
I'm 47.
Dude, all right. First of all, you're not that, like, I feel like you say like you're way older, but I'm 32, so it's not that much time, and you look great for your age, dude.
Appreciate it.
But I always think about this, all the stuff that we collected as kids. I think about my childhood, all those years. LeBron was 03. That's right when I was like in my prime. Probably ripped
What were you doing?
Many,
What were you doing? Why were you collecting baseball instead of basketball, right?
I know, and I'm just like, I can't, but I started collecting. That's what really like made me love collecting was LeBron, honestly. Like was when he came around. So I was ripping so many Topps, Chrome Topps. Like it's just so amazing to see the prices now. It just kills us, Yeah.
Oh, trust me, I've got memories going back of buying 2003 Topps Chrome. We'll get there, but like I went through.
You got Kobe too, right?
So I had my childhood collecting, and then just like it's so cliche, but everybody my age that you ask about, tell me your story about the hobby. You collect and then you discover girls in college, right? And then it stops, right? Some people alcohol also, but not really alcohol for me. But girls in college for sure. And so around my senior year, maybe my junior year in high school, I phased out, right? Plus I wasn't super into the hobby, and we didn't have the internet, but I kind of realized there's a lot of these out there, and that's when the junk wax era started to usher in, right? Around 90, 91, whatever. And so I phased out, didn't touch it. And then in 1997, 97, 98, a buddy of mine who's an attorney here in town, one of my best friends, said, hey, look at this. He was going to Walmart, and he just bought a couple packs, and he was buying Chrome. He was buying 97 Chrome. Oh, my God. And they were, $1.99 a pack or whatever. He's like, you're not going to believe this. They have patches of their jerseys in the cards. And I was like, what? I haven't looked at cards for 8 years by that point. And I was like, what the hell? Let me see that. And he had a Beckett magazine. And I remember him showing me, he's like, look at this. He's like, it's Andre Kirilenko. It was like an Andre Kirilenko. It was like $12.
AK-47.
Yeah, AK-47. And I'm like, if he's $12, how much is, Tim Duncan? How much is it? And we started looking at it, and then it was over at that point, right? Wow. So I was hooked from 98 to 2003. And so I remember in 2003, we had a box busting extravaganza. And then I lived in Houston, so that was around it was about when I moved back from Houston. But I remember we all had about 4, 5, 6 boxes, and we were all chasing Wade, Carmelo, Bosch, and LeBron.
Yep.
And we just busted and busted and busted.
My God.
So,
do you have any of those cards left?
I have, well, I had all those, and I knew enough at the time. I mean, then I was, 29 years old, so I wasn't stupid. I got them all graded. I got them all Beckett graded, because Beckett was
the king.
Yeah, so I sent all my Bosch, Wade, Carmelo, and LeBron's and Yao Ming's. I sent all those to Beckett. So I got all of my rookies of all those guys graded, even tops matrix, even the lowest level to the highest level. I was like, the hell with it. It was like $12.
Yeah.
I was like, let's send them all. So we sent them all, and we got them back, and I did keep those. And then I disappeared again for another decade.
Oh my God.
And then Giannis brought me back. So in late 2015, maybe early 2016, Giannis brought me back. So I took so 2003 is my last year.
Wow.
And so 13 more years off. And then I saw Giannis, and I was like, I wonder what cards are doing, And I went on eBay, and I was like, his rookie cards are cheap. They're like $12 to $14. And I started buying Prism Base. I would just click buy. Just buy.
Them all.
You need to see the spreadsheet. It's pretty interesting. I'm going to put something on my YouTube channel about that. But I bought a lot of Giannis cards. Just Giannis, right? Because I was like, I'm doing this strictly for investment purposes. And sure enough, investing turned into falling in love again.
Right.
And so, and since then, it's been hot and heavy, man. Like, it takes up some time and money. And but it's what I love to do.
And the habits come around, right? So it's exploded.
It's changed so much. Time. It's changed so much since 2016. It's unbelievable how much it's changed since 2016.
Does it annoy you?
There's pros and cons, right? Being able to identify the value of your card instantaneously is instead of using like eBay solds and then eBay completed items and all that stuff. Just the data pricing is amazing.
And you use Card Ladder for that most of the time, right?
I personally use Card Ladder. There's other options, At first, when I got back in, I used something called 130point.com. You might have heard of it. It's just a website that a guy on Facebook created, which was amazing because eBay sold items didn't show you, like if a card was $500 or best offer and the guy took $350.
Right, it doesn't show. Right.
eBay would show you $500. Well, that's not accurate, right? So you couldn't use it. But 130 point would show you actual accepted offer amounts. And so that was vital. And so I used that for probably 2 or 3 years. And then when Card Ladder came out, I was like, I like Card Ladder, but it would only give you sales data for cards that they had actually input in there, right? And so it was a very small sample size. Yep. Well, then Card Ladder 2.0 came out, and Chris and Christina are good friends of mine or hobby friends of mine, and so they created something called Sales History. So now it's like instant. I mean, it's the quickest. It's like you just plug in any card, since I think it goes back to like 2004 or something like that, maybe even earlier. And any card in the world, whether they've input it and created an actual page for it or not in Card Ladder, you get the data. So Card Ladder is my data pricing tool of choice for sure. So that's better. Data pricing's better. This what we're doing now is better, man.
Being able to,
you can meet so many people.
Yes.
I was doing my YouTube channel the other day, and I had a mail day episode, and I said on there, and I couldn't believe it. I'm collecting a certain set. I had bought 5 cards from 5 different continents in like 30 days.
What?
In 5 continents,
cool.
man.
That's
really
cool.
Weird, right?
Yeah.
Like, just the world just got so much smaller. The hobby got so much smaller with this. So, there's pros and cons. The cons are there's too many parallels.
Yes.
There's too many products. The retail dried up. The big one that really worries me, it doesn't necessarily affect me, but affects my children is, you can't really go buy a pack of cards for $2,
right? Yeah, the price point barrier to entry. Yep.
And nobody, because we have box hits and we have case hits, you don't have loose packs either. Do you have any loose packs for sale in here?
Well, we do, because we do some breaks where people buy, but it's a whole separate category. Well, and people know what they're buying, right?
That's right. Yeah, so the problem is, like, you want to buy packs, but what if the pack came from a box where the box hits already hit or the case
it's discounted too. And
so you don't know. Yeah. So, back in the day, they didn't have case hits, right? Yep. And so, card shops in the late 80s would just sell loose packs, and you could go buy a $2, or back then it was like 75-cent pack or whatever. Right. So I worry about the kids. I'm hoping and praying that when Fanatics jumps in and transitions, they'll identify, 1 or 2 products that are kid friendly or kid specific, and say, hey, we're gonna print the hell out of these. Right. I'm warning you, we're gonna print the hell out of this.
Right.
introduce your kids to this. This is
Right.
how you introduce young people into the hobby, or people on a severely limited budget who just want to set collect like me, or player collect even. So I don't know. There's a lot of pros and cons. You know, a lot of the cons are, negativity sells, right? So if you want clicks on YouTube, you talk about a scandal.
Yeah,
you talk about a company taking advantage of people, or and that's why I end every episode with stay positive. Every single YouTube episode I end it with keep collecting, stay positive, and peace. Stay positive.
I was talking to somebody. There's a football player, NFL player that does Magic the Gathering, and he was out at Mint on Friday, and we were just BSing a little bit, and that's what he was like. He was like, man, I do the sports cards a little bit, but he's like, dude, there's just so much negativity in there. He was like, I got so much hate. He was like, people came at me saying I was scamming things, and they were just using my name, and he was like, it was just bullshit. He was like, I wasn't trying to do anything, but he was like, that's what took me out of the sports hobby and just let me stay in the Magic. Like people are just nice there. They're just
there's more camaraderie in Magic,
exactly,
in Magic and Pokemon. I do find there's a lot more camaraderie and a lot less finger pointing and slinging of arrows and stuff like that. It's again, you can still stay in your lane. You don't have to click Facebook. You don't have to click Instagram or click, that kind of content. But it does pull you in, man. Yeah. It's tough. So.
No, I get it. And he wasn't bashing. He likes the sports card industry. He was just like, that's the biggest difference. Because I was kind of asking him some questions about that, and I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. And then you're absolutely right when you think about it that way. There's a lot of clickbait, and people want the attention and the eyes, and they're doing it for that stuff. So kind of sucks, but that's kind of every industry.
It is. No, it is unquestionably. But it just never permeated the hobby. The hobby was always show up at shows and everybody's on the same page. True. Other than agreeing on a price on a card, everybody wanted the same thing. We want to be here. We want to have fun. We want to go to a show. And now it's like there's a bunch of infighting. And there's a battle right now, Anthony, like, there's a vault battle. Everybody wants to vault your cards. Yeah. So everybody, harasses the other. Then there's a data pricing battle between the data pricing companies. There's...
even the boxing or the breakers channels too.
There's breakers are battling now. This goofball. I'm sure you saw it. That thing. So all the other breakers are attacking and jumping on those breakers, and maybe that's justified. But everybody's out to get everybody because they're all fighting for that market share, man.
That's exactly right.
So just like business.
Yeah. Well, talk to me. Speaking of business, I guess, and you brought up something. People on a budget or people that are doing it as a hobby or set collecting or player collecting like you. You're an owner of a business. You have a whole other business to run. I came to your office, and it's pretty cool how you've, dual purpose the space. But talk to me about some either advice or ways that people can mitigate having a job and still try to have this as a hobby, but also as an investment, plan too.
Well, something I've never really struggled with is, you spend what you can afford to lose, right?
That's a lot of people.
People struggle with that. I mean, people struggle with that in life generally. Like, I mean, not everybody pays their bills on time, right? And it's usually because they've spent money they really couldn't afford to spend instead of paying their mortgage or paying their car note or whatever the case may be, phone bill or whatever. But I mean, that's rule number one. That always came naturally to me because financially I was pretty astute. I'm a finance major, and so I've always kind of known what I can and can't spend. And made some good decisions in the hobby that way. But, time management's another thing. Like time management is not specific to card collecting. Right. I mean, time management is a life tool. Some people are, the person I love the most on this earth is not really good at time management. She shares my last name. She's an amazing gift from God. But man, when it comes to efficiency or time management, she relies on me, right? And I rely on her for things. And that's why our marriage works. But like different people are different. Some people will let the hobby consume them and overwhelm them. And I can't say that, I can just block it out and put it away. Cause I will wake up at 3 a.m. with, hey, this Tracy McGrady 97 Metal Universe cards. Why are they so cheap? Literally I will wake up at like 3 a.m. with weird stuff. I'll run to my phone. I'll put it in my notes and set a reminder to come check eBay, and then I'll go back to sleep.
Okay, see, that's what I don't have. That's nice. That's why I'm like little tools like that.
Put it down. Put it down, and then put it away. And then when you're in that window where you are focusing on the hobby and you're, on eBay or on, PWCC or Golden or whatever, then all right, now it can click again, So
I like that, yeah.
And guys like me with big family. I have a big family. I have 7 kids. I have a wife and 7 kids. Yes, all the same lady. All the same father. As far as I know, they all look like me, bro. So,
sounds like it is probably
You got to manage it, man. And my kids are playing travel sports, and so I'm in a different city all the time on the weekends. So you really gotta look, I put in a lot of work to get where I am with my primary source of income, which is a real estate attorney and running a real estate title company that gives me the luxury of having kind of a flexible schedule.
Absolutely.
That's all part of it. And then now, you got everything you need in the palm of your hand. It didn't used to be that way.
No, absolutely.
Anything you want to do in the hobby, you can do it on that little phone.
Yep.
My problem is I can't see it anymore because my eyes are I gotta get some reading glasses every time I can see you. You're fine, but I can't read my shirt.
Damn. Was it always like that?
Age 40, brother.
What happens. Everybody said
magic,
that.
man. I laughed at people when they told me, and I was like, I can't see far, so I wear contacts. But I never had trouble reading. Age 40, it's over. Gone. Boom. Started getting headaches.
My brother told me the same thing, dude. He's a little older than me. I'm like, oh no. Yeah. It's coming.
It comes. It hits some people. It doesn't hit others. But it hit me for sure. Now I can't see far and I can't see close. Right.
So they got tools for that. There's glasses. They got things, right? Yeah. Well, talk to me. We don't have to dive into it too much, but I'm, spirituality, meditation, whatever you believe in, faith, right? I don't know what yours is, but talk to me a little bit about managing that, right? Like 7 kids, wife, business, hobby, money, finance, a lot of things, stress, right? There's got to be a balance in there, right?
100%. Yeah. Like, I'm Christian. So it really, even if you're not Christian, it comes down to mind, body, spirit, man. I mean, those are all 3 disciplines in life you've got to work on. And I have found when body breaks down, right, due to, being sedentary or just not getting your workouts in or not getting your reps in, the other stuff starts to go with it. Yeah. But the same can be said if I get too deep into the hobby, and I neglect, family, to break down that way. I'm I'm not the most pious person in the world, but I'm trying every day. No. Every day you try, right? Every day, regardless of what your religion is the intentionality there to choose right from wrong and to, be a positive influence on other people, and all that kind of goes hand in hand with religion, in my opinion.
I'm not overly religious, and I've never actually talked about religion on my show or anything like that. But I just, understand somebody performing at a high level, right? There's got to be, like you talked about, time management, priorities, and whether that is faith, whether that is spirituality, or literally I'm going to go sit and meditate for 10 minutes, or I'm going to go pray, or I'm going to go spend some time with my family. I'm going to disconnect, right? All of that contributes to balance and being able to perform at this high level for your job, for the hobby, for your kids, whatever, right?
It all breaks down if you don't have a balance of those 3 things, in my opinion. Yeah. At some point, people can run the race and they can sprint, but at some point you're going to hit a wall. You got to have it all. You got to be able to take a step back and breathe and, remember the big picture. The big picture is, what are we doing down here? Like, what are we here for?
No, absolutely.
It's not to complete the set, but man, it sure is fun to complete the set, right? As long as you keep it in perspective. Yeah. It's not to, get the biggest LeBron PC in the world, but it's nice to feel like that sometime. Right. So, but keeping all that stuff in perspective, man, and even work, man. I mean, work, I think work is, I've never had this issue. I really do like my job and what I do. And it's not a coincidence I do it, but I think the biggest challenge for a lot of people out there is work consumes them. They're competitive. I'm competitive. But I mean, people compete through work. Who can work the most, who can make the most money, and you can't take it with you, bro.
Oh, it's one of the things we're working on here. And
can't take it with you, man.
Especially as me as a new business owner, right? Yeah. A young gun. Like, coming out of sports and competitiveness, right? It's something that I'm working on for myself, but also trying to ingrain in everybody working here is we got to take it day by day and still have some balance and perspective and be able to zoom out and see this whole big picture. So
that's it.
Yeah. I appreciate hearing that from you.
Money is a side effect of, look, you play pro baseball. I don't have to tell you, you're competitive. So this hobby for me is more about competing with myself. I'm not trying to beat another person. I'm also not trying to make the most money in the world, but if you do it well and you do it intelligently and you're financially frugal and you make good decisions, you can make a lot of money. But really, I just like winning. I like completing. I need that set finished, man. Yep. I need to pick up this Giannis. I need to pick up this Jordan. I want to grow that Jordan collection. I mean, an offshoot of it is, the cards go up, but they may not always go up. We don't know that. I don't have a crystal ball. So,
man, I love hearing that too, because I think, hearing somebody with experience here, that sounds like, even just to hear you say, I want to compete with myself, right? Because when I was younger, it was always competition with somebody else. And you almost do see somebody in the hobby like, oh, I'm going to complete my set before you complete yours. But and that's not the abundance mindset, right? We all want everybody to win and grow. It's just like, how do you compete with yourself? Yeah. I love that, man. I love
that. You can't turn it off. If you've got it, you got it. And I know you got it. I mean,
I wish I had that mindset when I played baseball and I didn't,
Yeah.
right? Because like when you're in AAA, you're like,
Yeah.
you and I are on the same pitching staff.
Well, that's different because you're competing for money and feeding your family one day, and that doesn't last forever, right?
Right. But there's still a mindset, right? Of like every single day, right? You and I are at the ballpark and we're teammates. We're in the same uniform.
Yeah.
But we are competing against each other for that next spot.
If you get the contract, that other dude may not. It may only be one of you. Yeah. That's look,
but I didn't even have the perspective of competing with myself. If I just would have even had that perspective, it could have let me, all right, this dude got the call this time. All right, let me understand that a little bit more. You know?
I think you got it now, though. I mean, when you go to work in the morning and you come into your shop, I don't think you're trying to put the other 2 or 3 shops in Baton Rouge out of business. I don't think that. I bet you that thought never even enters your mind.
And actually, people ask me about Markman down in Metairie, and I said, no, I don't view him as a competitor.
Yeah. It's not.
It's good for the hobby.
The pie is large enough to where, you don't need them to disappear for you to succeed. Correct. And so, I think you've kind of mastered that mindset. I think we all do at some point. Because that can only drive you so long. Because once you beat that person or that antagonist and that adversary, then what? You got to find another reason.
You're always chasing.
You got to have a reason, you know? Yeah. So.
Damn, I love that. Yeah. I didn't mean to cut you off there. You're probably going to make a
No, that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, so we've talked about religion. We talked about
I never talked about religion on my
I'm
podcast
nervous, man.
ever.
I didn't stretch out for this. I didn't know we were going to start talking about,
I said religion and spirituality. I'm like, oh my God, this guy probably thinks I've never talked about that on my podcast.
Yeah.
So, but it was just good. I appreciate
Anthony, I'm not, look, I'm as open book as there is. So I'll tell you, I blend religion and spirituality with cards all the time because I will find myself getting carried away. But there's a little voice in my head saying, "It's not what it's about, right? This is not what dictates where I go when my time on this earth is over. This is not what dictates it." And then it gives you a little, you can breathe. And then you're like, let me take a little perspective of what's going on here. And then it's not quite so overwhelming. You don't want to have anxiety from cards. That's what I'm getting at, right? You got enough anxiety in the world. Yep. Your paychecks and feeding kids and feeding wives and. Yep. And then as you get older, your body and your health, there's a lot of things that can cause anxiety. You don't want the thing you love the most to cause anxiety. It should be a release from anxiety. This should be the thing that decompresses human beings.
Yeah. And it's all stems from your own thoughts anyway, right?
Yeah.
So
you can control that.
Crazy.
Yeah. It's all something you can control. It just takes time and being old.
Well, hey, but that's what I appreciate, and that's what I'm saying is like I appreciate the experience, and I like sitting down with people that I look up to, respect, admire, and one of the things that I've appreciated about you since I've met you is just the promptness of your being on time, messages, answering. Like that's something that I need so to learn so much more about. So that's why I was like asking these questions about what's your process, how do you got this time management?
It's the only way I can do it, man. I mean, growing up playing sports. If the game's at 3, you and I are showing up at probably, in majors, you're showing up that morning at 9:30 or whatever. You got a million things to do, but like getting my kids to get everything has got to be ahead of schedule, on time. And so, my phone's over here all set, but if I showed you my phone, we've been sitting here for 20 minutes, so it's probably full now, but you'll never see an unread text, an unread email, or an unreturned phone call. I can't live that way.
Oh my God.
I need closure, dude. I can't do it.
I love that. I can't do the exact opposite. My phone's a mess. Like I got
to stay on it.
That's amazing. Have you always been like that?
Always. Yeah. God, it's a blessing and a curse, man. Look, I mean that in and of itself, I don't want to like misuse the phrase OCD because I'm not OCD, but like just that need for closure and completeness. Like when I go to bed at night, I need to know I don't have something lingering. You know.
Because that builds up, and that's something that I deal with. Is like I'm always thinking about like, did I answer that message? Did I answer that message? And that kind of stuff. So
that's it. The longer you let it linger, I mean, you got to face it at some point.
Absolutely. It's something that I'm really, really conscious of, and I have a great staff here, and they're holding me accountable, and they're doing, we're doing things to learn through that process. But it's like in baseball, we actually had this exact conversation the other day. I was like, when I was playing ball, it was. Stretches at 3, you're out there at 2:45. Like you're late at 2:45. So it's like
you're stretching to stretch. You stretch before you stretch.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
But when I got into business, it's like you have to have some fluidity, especially as an owner, right? Because people are going to show up.
You're
late
the boss, dude. You've got to hold yourself accountable because
But what I've learned is, and through some other businesses that I've had, right, especially so the gym business, and people are going to show up late, and you can try to hold them accountable and stuff, but there's human error and things like that, right? And so that's the part that. You can either get super mad and angry, and some of my business partners, have we've had some fluidity with the way that we do things, you know.
Different priorities for different people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's crazy to see how different worlds interact differently with that, you know.
No doubt. God makes
Different
all sorts of people, dude.
Yes, and personalities, right? Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
Well, Bryan, I appreciate it, man. We'll keep this one pretty short, but I'm looking forward to maybe doing this again and keeping it a consistent thing and talking some sports and getting into why you collect Anthony Simons.
Yeah, Simons. Yeah.
That's your,
I'm so glad you got that right. You know, I'm so glad you got that right.
You want to hear something crazy, though?
Tell me.
I got picked up for the at the airport in Vegas.
You did not share a cab with Anthony Simons.
No. But my Uber driver was like, "Oh, what are you here for?" Blah blah blah. I told him. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go over there Saturday." He's like, "I just started collecting Anthony Simons," and I was like, "What?"
He's the other one.
Yeah. I was like, "Do you listen to who's your source?" And I was like, "Dude, this guy." Oh, it's so funny. I was like, I thought he was like one of your listeners or something.
No,
that would have been great. So hey, there's other people out there.
Well, everybody knows who Anthony Simons is now. I was early on that one. That's very rarely do I beat my drum. I'm beating my chest and beating the drum on that one. 100%. I was really early on him. That's a whole episode.
That's what I was gonna say. The next episode is Simons and the Jordan collection. That's what I want to get into because you have a pretty historic Jordan collection at PWCC too. So
working on it.
Amazing.
That's it.
Thank you, dude. I appreciate the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff.